254 in Nairobi, and we welcome our viewers in Kenya and around the world on the Node 254. This program takes a global and exclusive look at evocative issues affecting public attitudes in matters politics, education, business and technology, arts and culture. First, a look at the major stories from around the world. Teachers strike in Trump's America. Last month, teachers around the US took matters into their own hands as they decided to strike for raises and school funding. It is believed that the protests are being driven from the bottom up rather than by unions, as teachers in school districts take matters into their own hands. Jay O'Neill, a 7th grade English teacher based in Charleston, West Virginia, commented on the issue, and I quote, "To me, it was just frustrating because I felt like our issues were against the legislature, but nothing was ever going to happen unless we work together," end of quote. And I must say that this is not new to Kenya, as teachers have been striking in order to draw attention to the Kenyan government for their needs and wants to be met. On to a second story. Wounded teenager calls black doctor dirty. A teenager taken to hospital with a stab wound on her back on 22nd of May refused to be treated by a doctor because he was black. When the doctor tried to clean the wound, Zena Edwards shouted, and I quote, "You can't clean it, you are dirty yourself," end of quote. At Llandudno Magistrates Court District Judge Dwayne Jones told the 18-year-old, "A doctor working in hospital should not have to be subjected to such appalling behavior." Well, the same discriminatory treatment has happened in Kenya, especially to domestic tourists, where in the sense that international tourists in most cases are always given first priorities. And on to our third story. Harvey Weinstein accused of sexually assaulting Marco Polo producer repeatedly for years, threatening her job. Disgraced movie mogul Harvey Weinstein sexually assaulted a female producer, Alexandra Canosa, multiple times over a 5-year period, all the while threatening her job. Marco Polo producer, who hit Weinstein with a Manhattan Supreme Court lawsuit in December, filed paperwork on Monday, 30th of April, detailing his alleged sexual immodesty. Canosa charges that Weinstein sexually assaulted her on August 12, 2010, and that his misconduct continued until September 2017. She alleges in court papers that during this period, and I quote, "Harvey Weinstein constantly threatened plaintiff and made it clear that if she did not succumb to his demand for sexual contact, or if she exposed his unwanted conduct, there would be retaliation, including humiliation, the loss of her job, and loss of any ability to work in the entertainment business." Also in Kenya, female legislatures have complained of rampant cases of sexual harassment within parliament as they petitioned National Assembly Speaker Justin Muturi to establish a gender unit to handle such criminal cases. Now, the story of the teachers' strike is going to be the discussion of the day, as we are going to get to tackle the issues involving teachers and students and the strike, as well as trying to find out if education locally is at stake. We know education is important and it helps human beings in making right choices and opinions, but how will teachers and students, especially the students, get the education if the lecturers are always in the streets? We will get to tackle more on that, and join in the conversation by tweeting at Gesare using the hashtag Education in Kenya. Before Patricia Mujuki takes us through the feature, let's first read our viewers' comments on social media. And at Holman on Twitter is saying, hashtag women are not the only victims when it comes to sexual assault. And this is in regards to the story of the Marco Polo producer being assaulted by Harvey Weinstein. And next on is a feature by Patricia Mujuki.
The Kenya University Staff Union on 18th of May insisted their strike is on, despite lecturers striking deal with the employer to resume duty. Secretary General Charles Mukwaya said, "We are ready to engage in negotiations should they come back with a counter offer." Dr. Mukwaya said an increase of 1.75% on basic salary is an insult to the university workers. Same day, the Interpublic Universities Council's Consultative Forum failed to attend a meeting called by the Ministry of Labour between workers and their employer. We went and met the Ministry of Labour officials, but the employer's representatives did not turn up, said Dr. Mukwaya. And with me is Anthony, and he's going to be sharing his views by helping us to understand, do you really think it is right for the lecturers to still be on strike even when they've been asked to return to duty?
Yes, I think they have a right to go on striking, because if the government didn't actually look into their CBA, then it means it will never look into it.
I think the government should just give them their demands, because I understand the government has a lot of money. We pay taxes, and therefore the government should just pay them.
Thank you so much, Patricia Muriuki, for that feature. Although you've mentioned that the Kenya University Staff Union insists that the strike is on, could you please share more details to the viewers?
Thank you very much, Naomi. And what is happening, the lecturers have now been on strike for about 2 months now, and they're still saying that they're not going back to the classes until the 2017-2021 CBA agreement has been signed. And this has been really, it has caused a lot of havoc between the government and the lecturers and also the Ministry of Education, because the government are saying that there is no money to really meet their demands, and the lecturers have seen that until their demands have been met, until their pays have been given, they are not going back to classes.
That was our reporter Patricia. Now let's take a look at some of the responses from social media. At Anthony Baki on Twitter is saying, Kenya will never cease to amaze me. This hashtag education in Kenya. This is in regards to the discussion. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce our first panelist, who's going to help in discussing about the issue of education in Kenya, and this is in regards to the strike that has been happening, teachers strike, universities strike, and so Deborah is a student at Daystar University. She is also a student leader who is in charge of academics at Daystar University. Now, Deborah, why did you strike or boycott your classes as Daystar University?
Why we boycotted, but I can answer for myself. In regards to the academic side, when I joined Daystar, it was really shocking for me to find out that a lot of things weren't happening. And when I mean weren't happening is that it's an issue. Let me use the example of the registration system, and let me say this very fast. You try to log into the system and you try to pick a class. Now, the class you picked, first of all, is not the one that you're supposed to be doing under your major. And that's wrong. Second is that immediately you're done picking all those courses. Let's say you've done 4 years in this school, you've actually done a major that you didn't want to do. Why? Because the system picked or placed or reflected courses that were in yours and you had no idea. Why didn't you have no idea? Because your HOD didn't explain this to you. Various reasons. And the issue for me in an academic side was that these issues, I would address them, but no one would implement them. No one would take them as consideration. In meetings, in Senate, in council, nothing. It was just, students are still paying, money is flowing in, so let's just keep going like that. Let's not use the money that's flowing in to solve this issue. Let's not give the value of the money, which is academic excellence, the service that the students have come for. Let's not excel in that, but let's just benefit from the pocket of the students and their parents. And another reason why we boycotted was corruption. As a general, not outside the academic sphere. Corruption in the sense of, if you take everyone's role, we look at everything. We are in different dockets that embody the entire university. Social welfare is hostels, food, transport. Let me just say that one then. Corruption was in everything. I've just said academics. Cafeteria was that the food was terrible and the money the school was paying was not for the value that we were receiving. Transport, 150 to Athi River, yet you pay school fees. You're not supposed to be paying an additional fee to go to a different campus, yet your transcript and audit say you're a Nairobi student. Didn't make sense. It was just a whole bunch of issues that they didn't take into consideration. And I think why we also boycotted was we take our role as your leaders very seriously. It's transformation, excellence, servant leadership, and accountability. And we wanted to give you that. We wanted to be different from the other leaders. Yes, there was a fighting chance they had and they tried, but we wanted to push beyond that. We wanted to actually do the boycott, the proper boycott, with both Athley and Valley Road combined together.
Okay, we will come back to you, Deborah. Let's introduce our second panelist, who is Moses Ochieng. He is an education enthusiast as well as a student at Daystar University. And Moses, what do you think are the most pressing challenges facing universities in Kenya, especially public universities?
I think in Africa, the biggest problem that we have had over the years is the problem of leadership. Be it in our places of worship, be it in national leadership, be it in schools and universities, the problem that we have had is the problem, as I've said, of leadership.
And Deborah, do you think or feel like your needs and wants were met after the strike?
Yes, I think the boycotting was fruitful or productive because it spread the word. We found that the boycott helped everyone understand what we were saying. It's very hard for you to get the attention of everyone in this campus. Let me use Nairobi campus. Let me split the programs under my docket. There's certificate students, diploma students, undergrad students, masters and PhD. Now, we're trying to be able to communicate to all of them about one thing is very difficult. But the boycott was able to do that very well. Why? You have a boycott. No one is going to class. And they'll ask, why are we not going to class? Because of DUSA. Why because of DUSA? Because of corruption. What corruption? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you're like, oh, that's why. Okay, we stand with DUSA. So you found that the boycott helped in awareness. It helped and it was very fast. By a week, the entire school knew what was going on. They knew and supported us. And what was fruitful about it is that the expectation of administration was that the master's students, or let me say the evening, or let me say the adult students in this school, perception was that they would not support us, that they would value their education more than fighting against corruption. But that was not the case. Actually, that surprised them really, really. It was very interesting. And that support helped because immediately after that, that's when the administration took a role or position in responding to our boycott. It was very interesting because they needed that.
And it is obvious that the university strike is becoming common in Kenya. What impacts do they have, Moses?
Obviously, a student may have registered for maybe one course that takes 3 years or 4 years. But then this student end up staying in school for 5 or 6 years for a course that they should have cleared in 4 years. I think that is unfair to them.
Okay, thank you so much, Moses and Deborah. And allow me to introduce our third panelist, who is an education analyst, Eric Kinjabi. And Eric, what is your take on university strike?
One of the major reasons why universities are striking is lack of adequate communication, proper avenues of communicating issues that are affecting students, affecting lecturers and workers at large. So the biggest gap that is there is issue of communication and addressing the issues according to the grievances that are brought forward by the students, lecturers and workers. If these grievances we can come up with an avenue whereby communication is done effectively and efficiently, then I believe we'll not be talking of strikes, both in public and private universities.
And do you think or feel like there are other ways for lecturers and students to air their grievances other than taking it to the streets?
Exactly. You know, the society is looking at us, especially the university, as the powerhouse of intellectuals. It's so annoying, so disappointing to see intellectuals going to the streets. Same students that are supposed to be role models of the society are the same ones on the streets. So the best way is avoiding streets, and people can sit down because you're talking about issue of using dialogue. Dialogue can work, and people can address their issues without going to the streets. It's not a must for us to be in the streets, for us to be listened or maybe our grievances to be heard.
Okay, thank you so much, Eric. That's it from our panelists, and thank you so much, Moses, Deborah, and Eric, for taking your time in helping out with the discussion of the day, which is in regards to the education in Kenya, and most especially the strike that has been happening in Kenya in the universities. Let's quickly take a look at the comments from our viewers. At Join Danu via text is saying, I believe there are other ways for lecturers to air grievances rather than going to the streets. #education in Kenya. Well, Join Danu believes lecturers should be going to classes instead of hitting the streets. And we have come to the end of this episode, where the topic was majorly about education in Kenya and the strikes that have been happening in universities and secondary schools, but mostly in universities. And my say to this is that the government of Kenya needs to look into the issue instead of turning a blind eye into the issue that has been affecting our students, because we know that the students are, rather the youth who are the students in the universities are the future leaders of this country, and we can't be having students enrolling for a bachelor's degree with the expectation of graduating after 4 years. Then they end up taking the course for 5, 6, or 7, and even 8 years. Instead of finishing it in 4 years. It's not right at all. And that's it from me. I've been your host, Naomi Nduko. Let's keep the conversation going on Twitter at Gesare, on Instagram it's _Gesare, on Facebook at Naomi. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel for more exclusive issues affecting you and me. Be blessed.